haven't seen much anime in a while, so I decided to watch every anime in alphabetical order, using the My Anime List database. So join me as we discover the good, the bad, the weird and the hidden gems. In this episode we discover some shorts of architectural models, an adorable OVA with frogs that go on adventures, and a random equals funny comedy anime. Ichinen Ichikumi is a kid show and I couldn't really find where to watch it, so I went out of my way to buy the DVD since it wasn't too expensive. And while researching I found out that the My Anime List page has quite a few things wrong on this entry. This is a 4-episode OVA. It varies how long each episode is, but it totals at 51 minutes. The DVD was released in 2006 by Toei Animation, though I've been unable to confirm whether it aired in 2002 or not. It was adapted from a book series with the same name, written by Ryugi Goto and illustrated by Hasegawa Tomoko. With kid shows like this one, I genuinely think one of the most important aspects of a medium like this is if it teaches the viewer a positive thing. Basic examples are like be kind to others and respect those around you. Unfortunately, this OVA misses the mark on that. In the OVA we follow Kurosawa-kun. He's just your average kid that throws tantrums when things don't go his way, but also has a kind heart and cares about others. The issue for me is how the teacher handles his behavior. Rather than teaching him that it's not okay to throw tantrums or that he should respect others, the teacher often manipulates the situation to get him to comply without directly addressing his behavior. That could leave the impression that throwing tantrums will get you what you want. There are also moments during class where the teacher just disappears. Kurosawa yells or gets up from his chair during a test without any consequences. Kurosawa and other classmates also get beat up in the 3rd episode, and no one helps or interferes, which I feel isn't appropriate for a show like this. And don't get me started on episode 4. That episode was straight up weird. One of his classmates can take a dump at school, while Kurosawa has no problem with it. It basically tells you not to be embarrassed about it, which is a fine message. But in one scene, Kurosawa goes to the toilet and takes the biggest dump I've ever seen. It's even bigger than himself. Being proud of himself, he gets the whole class to look at it. While this whole commotion is going on, another teacher walks in and flushes it down the toilet, which upsets Kurosawa and he locks himself inside the toilet stall. How do they get him out? The teacher asks him if he wants to see a sewer system. The rest of the episode turns into a lesson on how a sewer system works, which, while informative, isn't something I would expect to teach young kids. Overall, this OVA isn't very good. The things that it's trying to teach are either useless or can be easily misinterpreted. And with the scene of the 2 kids getting beat up, the one where a kid kills a beetle, yeah, that happens too. And the whole toilet episode, I'd skip this one. Unless you really want to know how a sewer system works, it's not worth your time. And if I had kids, I definitely would let them watch this. This OVA is a spin-off of a kids movie called Kurasho no Kaite Waku Waku Daibokuen by TMS Entertainment. And it's a 1-episode 38-minute OVA, and it's basically an ad for some educational kids product made by a company called Benes. It follows 5 kids who get an artifact that transports them to the future. There they see themselves at school. 2 of the kids are doing very well. You know this because they have sparkles around them. And the other 3 are either struggling with remembering hiragana or are late to class. The 3 kids get quite upset at this sight. So when they get back to the present, the other 2 show them these awesome products they use to improve these skills. After a while they transport themselves back to the future again. And now see that they, as well, have sparkles around them, because they use these awesome products. The way this OVA is marketing these products is pretty awful. It basically says that if kids don't use them, they will fall behind and fail at school. Sure, they are learning tools, but I don't know. The message of the OVA still felt kind of predatory, especially when it's aimed towards kids. This is a 1-episode 18-minute OVA and is a rendition of the fairy tale The Wolf and the 7 Young Goats, first published in the book Kinder und Hausmärchen in 1812 by authors Jacob and Willem Grimm. The story itself is basically a combination of Little Red Riding Hood and the 3 Little Pigs, being about a mother and 7 little goats, or kids. What? Why are they called kids? Anyways, the mother goes out to find food. While she's gone, the wolf tries to get into the house by pretending to be the mother, which eventually works and he eats 6 of the 7 goats. When the mother gets home, she's shocked to see that the wolf got into the house. Together with the remaining goat, she goes to try and find the wolf and rescue the 6 others. They find him asleep under a tree, cut his stomach open and the 6 goats just magically pop out. After which, they fill the stomach of the wolf with rocks and sew it closed again. I've never heard of this fairy tale before, so I had to give a little rundown of it because that ending is kind of funny. This specific version of the fairy tale was very difficult to find anything about, since it has been adapted quite a lot. It was made by animation studio Ookami, Japan Home Video, and possibly in collaboration with the government of the Kagoshima prefecture somewhere between 1991 and 1994. It was published on VHS tapes and distributed to several libraries in the prefecture, and it's possible to rent out for educational purposes, but outside of this I have no idea where to find it. The what I call a 1/100 series is a series of 3 stop-motion videos on a YouTube channel called Terda Moke. The videos 1/100 rice planting, 1/100 Shibuya crossing and 1/100 train station are basically a showcase of a series of architectural model kits released by Terda Moke. The little models that are seen in these videos are all part of these sets and can actually be bought on their online store. There are a lot more of them than seen in the videos. The videos themselves are, as I mentioned, made with stop motion, and the animation is so good. It's super detailed and very fluid. I've done some stop motion myself when I was younger with Legos, so I know how difficult and time consuming it can be. So seeing these videos, I'm very impressed. Unfortunately, that's really the only good thing. Like I've said before, these are just showcases of the models, so there's not really a story to these. 1/100 rice planting is just as the title says. It's a couple people in rice transplanters planting rice for a whole 9 minutes. After not even 2 minutes I was bored. It also doesn't help that the videos don't have any sounds. No music, no ambient sounds, it's completely silent. 1/100 Shibuya crossing has the opposite problem. It's very short, only lasting for 30 seconds, with 1.5 minutes of credits. And as you can guess, this video shows people crossing the famous Shibuya crossing you see everywhere. 1/100 train station is the better one out of the 3. It lasts for 1 minute and shows a decent sized train station with a couple trains arriving, with people departing and boarding the trains. It isn't too long and not too short either. It has that nice middle ground, but it only makes it a tiny bit better than the other 2.
さてさて、沼はどっちだろう。この岩の上に登ってみようよ。いいよっと。
No Kaeru is a 4-episode OVA adapted from a picture book written by Hisako Madokoro and illustrated by Nichiko Nakagawa. It first aired in 1998 and was later released as a 2-part DVD by Toei Animation in 2006. The show follows 10 frogs going on different adventures, with the first episode introducing them as tadpoles, where they get scooped up out of their pond by a couple kids and put in their backyard. When they grow up as frogs, they try to escape out of the backyard and go to the pond they came from. It's a simple and sweet adventure show aimed towards kids, with a couple songs mixed in, and I absolutely adore it. The animation is lovely, the frogs and other animals are adorable, and the songs are really enjoyable. If I had watched this when I was younger, I would have been obsessed with it. I only find it unfortunate that the frogs themselves don't have any clear identity. They don't have names and only a few of them have unique physical differences, though it's only about 3 of the 10 frogs that have it. The others have slight personality difference, but it's not enough to be able to distinguish them. With all that said, I really enjoyed this little OVA series, and if it seems like a fun one to you, I definitely recommend you check it out.
10周年だよ。ちびまる子ちゃん。
This is an OVA from the popular series Chibi Maruko-chan. It's 46 minutes long and was released in 1996 to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the main series. In this OVA we get a retrospective overview of the series up to this point, with a voiceover of Momoko, introducing and talking about the different relationships of basically every character in the series. There's also some bits of certain episodes shown, and there's the opening and ending theme song near the end of the OVA. Now here's where things get a little weird. This OVA was released on both VHS and Laserdisc. It has been mentioned on the Lost Media wiki as well, since a lot of the dubs of the original series are lost media, but there's a section on this 10th anniversary OVA, and states, to celebrate the franchise's 10th anniversary in 1996, Ponykenyu released a special Laserdisc in Japan. One of these segments was a compilation of international opening and ending themes from the original series. But the version I found while researching this topic didn't have those international opening and endings mentioned. It was still the right version, since the My Anime List entry mentioned it being 46 minutes. So where are these segments? Clicking on the reference mentioning the Laserdisc, it is labeled as being 115 minutes long, and looking at the labeling on the original package of the Laserdisc, you can barely make out the 115 minutes. So where did this 46 minutes come from? Well, I said that it was also made on VHS, and on that version it is labeled as 46 minutes long. Nowhere says that there is this difference between the VHS and Laserdisc versions. I can't think of a reason why this is other than hardware limitations. I hope someone can shine a light on this, because I have no idea. Overall, this confusing mess of an OVA was really boring, since I've never seen the main series, but if you're a fan you might enjoy it. Also, while researching this, I found the VHS version on the porn site. 100 Reasons by Korean singer-songwriter Vincent Blue is a gentle, more emotional song about feeling lost and the struggles that come with life, but also finding reasons to keep going, like in this instance someone by your side to help you through these tough moments. The song is a relaxing and gentle track, composed of various atmospheric sounds and gentle acoustic guitar, with Vincent Blue's soft singing voice over it. It's very much your typical love song, but the soothing nature of it does make it stand out. The music video, on the other hand, is somewhat basic but stylized animation of a couple doing various activities together. It isn't anything flashy, but it complements the song nicely. 100 Perfect Score star Pax Salomena, released in 2023 by a VTuber Manten Pax Salomena from Nijisanji. The song is, I think, talking about the lore of Salome, since it's about being a proper and perfect lady. I don't follow her, so don't quote me on it. The music video is nothing to write home about. The artwork is nice, but the video is more made up of stills with slight movement rather than actual animation. The song is fine, it has a nice concept, but there are a lot of these kinds of songs and music videos from VTubers nowadays that all blends in one another. It's not bad, but it also doesn't stand out.
いけない。乗り過ごしちゃった。
100% is an 1 episode 53-minute OVA from 1990. According to the synopsis on my anime list, it is based off a manga by Michio Yanagisawa, which is incorrect. The curator is actually Kimio Yanagisawa. I don't know how they got this wrong, since his name is written correctly as Kimio under the staff section. I also find it funny how in the synopsis it says that it's based off the manga, but the manga itself doesn't have an entry on the site. But enough of that. 100% follows Kazuyo Hata, who just got a new job as a rookie news announcer. She joined the broadcasting station together with several others, who, compared to her, are much better at the position than she is, which thanks her confidence, though she has a charming personality, something which helps her keep up with them. There's some clashing romance in this OVA, but other than that, it's mostly about Kazuyo's journey into becoming a proper news hostess. Unfortunately, that's not all the OVA focuses on. The OVA has a weird fixation on people having affairs and sexual harassment, to the point where Kazuyo gets assaulted herself while she's on a business trip with a known creep, who she got sent to accompany by one of her romantic rivals. Luckily, some of the guys that she hangs out with comes to rescue her from the situation, or not rescue her. By the time the guys arrive, she has already disappeared. They just wait until morning to try and find her. When they get to the filming location, she's there, telling the guys she spent the night at that location, and the OVA just ends. The whole part of her getting assaulted is swept under the rug as if it never happened. Kazuyo herself is quite likable, and the interaction between all the characters were decent, though because of the whole harassment subplot, the OVA just left a bad taste in my mouth. These kinds of situations are unfortunately common in the media and the workplace, so it could be a commentary on that, but it's not very well done if that's the case, in my opinion. The news station sounds interesting as a setting on paper, but it was pretty boring, and the art and animation also just wasn't it.
別の場所ではありません。宝富の魅力的なおもちゃがたくさんありました。ほら。人気ホビーのベイブレードがありましたよ。
100% Pascal-sensei without the TV part is a short 6-episode ONA series, with each one being about 4 minutes. It can be found on the Koro YouTube channel, though only 4 out of the 6 are available for some reason. The series is a promotional lead-up to the full 100% Pascal-sensei TV anime that start airing a month after the 6th episode. These episodes aren't remarkable. The videos also have close to 1 million views each without a single comment, which got me kinda confused. But let's get to the actual anime, which hopefully is more interesting than this. And luckily, it is more interesting, but it's still not for me. 100% Pascal-sensei TV is an anime from 2017 and has a total of 36 episodes, each one being about 10 minutes long. It follows Pascal-sensei, an elementary school teacher who teaches the class of 4-1. The anime is a gag comedy with absurdist humor aimed towards kids. It's very much your random equals funny with over-the-top expressions. Each episode is divided into 2 or more parts, where the first part is always about the schoolroom itself and usually the part after an RPG-esque fantasy world. One of the strongest points of the anime is definitely its characters. They're all quite distinct from one another, but that's about its strengths. The gags all revolve around the concept of random equals funny, where the expectation of a joke is thrown out of the window and something else absurd happens that's unrelated to what's going on. An example of this is in episode 4 where a new character is introduced, a delinquent by the name of Tachibana Hikaru. The personalities of Pascal and Hikaru clash and they challenge each other to a sumo fight. This is what I meant with the delivery of a joke being totally unrelated to what's going on, since you would never expect a chance to be in sumo fight. Not every joke is like this, but it's definitely the majority. There are really only a handful of gags and jokes that I found funny, one of the recurring one being with the character Iwata, where whenever he gets blown up or punched away, Team Rocket style, you see his character in the sky and he says a funny line. I like that one. I also give a special shout out to the ending of the anime. I thought the first one was the weirdest and the best one I've seen, but the second one was surprisingly tops it. Overall, the anime wasn't for me, but if absurd random humor is your thing, you might enjoy it. And with that, we've officially finished the first page on my anime list. Time for page 2, with the first entry being... This is a short movie made in 2012 by Amiko Kubo and sponsored by the non-government organization World Wildlife Fund that promotes conservation and preservation of wildlife and endangered animals. It was made in response to the Fukushima nuclear disaster as a way to encourage people to move away from nuclear energy and use other renewable energy sources like hydro, geothermal, solar and wind. The animation is good and visually pleasing, with the panda bouncing around the scene of different energy sources, with some nice music in the background. And that's not where my issues lie with this short film. It's more the message of it that isn't told very well. The panda just bounces around with those words popping up, and it only explains the different energy sources as visuals, but it's not enough to be able to understand what they actually are. As an example, the panda bounces towards some volcanoes and you see the words geothermal energy pop up. That tells you that geothermal energy comes from volcanoes, which is slightly true, but it doesn't tell you that actually gathered from the heat of the Earth's crust, not just volcanoes. And I'll be even more critical. Not because the energy sources are bad, they're great, don't get me wrong, but moving away from nuclear energy isn't the right solution. Nuclear energy can be very scary, the same with how planes are. When something goes wrong, it goes really wrong. Fukushima and Chernobyl are the two examples most people think of, but like air travel, nuclear energy is one of the safest energy sources we have. The Fukushima nuclear disaster was caused by a massive earthquake into a tsunami, something out of human control, while Chernobyl on the other hand was caused by human error almost 40 years ago. Since then, nuclear technology and safety has improved massively. Same goes with nuclear waste. An issue many people worry about is for the majority recycled into uranium and plutonium, which is then reused to generate more energy. While the short film doesn't explicitly show that it's anti-nuclear energy, it was still campaigned against. The message would have been better if it was focused on moving away from fossil fuels, the actual issue of pollution, rather than leveraging on fear after a disaster that was out of human control, involving one of the safest and cleanest large-scale energy sources.
この人意外とたつきさんみたいなところあってギャップ萌えのやつじゃん下がってください
Yotsuya Yusuke, a guy that hates the city he lives in and hates the people in it. When he's alone with two classmates, Shindo Iyu and Hakusaki Kusue, he suddenly gets transported to a new world. Hyakuma no Inochi no Ue ni ore wa Tatteiru, or in English, I'm Standing on 1 Million Lives, is a 12-episode anime by Studio Maho Film that aired in the fall 2020 season. Yusuke got transported to a new virtual reality world by his two aforementioned classmates. Here he meets the Game Master, who spins a wheel for his class, and he lands on the very rare class, a farmer. The Game Master explains that he was summoned by Shindo and Hakusaki. They are now on their third quest, since with each quest, starting with Shindo, another person gets added to their party. As the so-called heroes of this world, when they die they go on a 30-second respawn timer. The only way they truly die is if the entire party is on their respawn timer. They are tasked with the third quest, the only description of it being to fulfill the village chief's request. When they get to the nearest village, the chief asks them to kill the troll that has been tormenting the village. Only problem being that this troll is about 3 times the size of a house. While the anime has some cool concepts like the class and revival system, it's just painfully generic and filled with quite a few moments of lore dumps. The anime introduced these green summon circles called log points. Here they can see past moments that have happened in that location. It's a decent concept on paper, but in practice it just turns into a wall of exposition. Some characters also have what I can only describe as contradicting personalities. Yusuke, for example, says quite a few times that he hates people, but scenes later he wants to save religious people from execution. Does he have like delusion of grandeur, or is he actually a kind person? Which one is it? It definitely wasn't all bad. Creativity in some of the plans of the characters I quite liked, even if they seemed a bit unrealistic. On the other hand, there are also certain moments where these unrealistic scenarios are a bit much. There is a scene where Shindo is fighting a giant monster, gets cornered and suddenly steps on a bed. This triggers a rank up, specifically to rank 10. When a character gets to this rank, everything freezes around them and they get a new class added to their repertoire. She's originally a wind mage and lands on warrior this time. With this new class she defeats this difficult monster. It's a neat idea that worked in earlier episodes, but with this scene it was a bit too convenient for the moment. The anime is not terrible. I did enjoy some of the creative concepts, but with quite a few unrealistic moments, subpar animation and a pretty forgettable soundtrack. I can only recommend it if you're already a fan of the isekai genre, otherwise you can skip out on this one. At least it wasn't an isekai with an overpowered main character. About half a year later, in July 2021, a basic recap episode of Season 1 was released. All episodes, including the recap, were available for free on YouTube and other streaming sites for about a week. Right now the recap episode can still be paid for to view on sites like Nico Nico and Bandai Channel. Unfortunately, this recap episode is unremarkable with just rehashed footage of Season 1. It's sad that no one ever tries to make a recap episode as good and entertaining as one of the best ones ever, the Ember Island players from Avatar: The Last Airbender. After the free week that the recap and Season 1 were available, the first episode of Season 2 was released. Let's have a look at that now. Before the main cast starts their next quest, the game master introduces Yusuke to the 5th member, Keita Tori. Keita tries to get revenge on the Yakuza-type guy in the restaurant. Yusuke stops this plot and they part ways. When the team gets teleported to the other world for the 5th quest, Keita joins them as a lancer. Season 2 is divided into 2 arcs, covering the 5th and 6th quest. It starts out strong with the first episode. Every time the group completes a quest and gets assigned a new one, over a decade passes in the other world. Episode 1 shows this really well by having the team meet a now older support cast from Season 1. This cast explains what happened in the time frame between the quests. I thought this was really well done. In the 5th quest, the team needs to make an offering during a traditional festival on an island called Jiffen. Though with every quest there is always a caveat. The island is taken over by a group of orcs. To keep them from killing everyone, the islanders give them the animals they use for the festival. The team arrives at the island alongside a group of mercenaries. The mercenaries were called by 2 girls, Yana and Aoyu. When the group learns about the orc problem, they team up with the mercenaries to make plans to help the island. And this is where it kinda falls apart. The team, the mercenaries and volunteers of the island are set up in multiple fronts, which is fine. The problem is where the orcs are coming from. Their base is in a castle deeper on the island, but the orcs themselves come out of the ocean. They basically just swim around to them, though you don't see them do this. They just kinda appear on the coast. The problem that Season 2 has are the same with Season 1. There are very strong moments like the first half of Episode 1, or a funny moment where, to encourage people, the 2 girls sing one of their traditional songs of the island, and this turns into an idol concert. But then you get weird pacing issues and the aforementioned orcs just appearing. There is another great moment I really want to tell you about. At the end of Episode 5, a volcano eruption floods the island with lava. Yusuke and Keita are at the castle. To force the orcs out, they kidnap one of their children and toss her off a bridge into a lava pool. Instead of continuing the fight, the orc parent jumps after her, and as they sing together he smiles, comforting her in their final moments. It's a surprisingly emotional moment. It's short, but I find it one of the best moments of the series, showing the orc in a humanizing way and not just as fodder enemies. Season 2, much like Season 1, is a rough diamond. Both seasons had brilliant moments, but also very rough ones. It's why it's so difficult to recommend, but I still do if you can look past the major flaws. Otherwise, it's unfortunately not worth it. Thank you for making it to the end. In the next episode, a giant ice planet will destroy the Earth. 11 cats will wreak havoc on the small town, and we'll look at an avant-garde movie in the form of a feverish love dream. Subscribe so you don't miss it, and please leave a like and comment on what you thought of all these anime.